hottest sports talk show on the internet. It's sports and entertainment. Grown for sports talk with your host, Steve Johnson.
Hey, what is going on out there and how y'all doing in 3 different places? Atlanta Bird Gang land, of course, in Uncle Steve's Lounge, as we like to see y'all in there, and YouTube. Please make sure you push that like button and hit the subscribe button so we can get some things started for you guys this fall, going this year, and also on my regular feed. How y'all doing out there? Holiday weekend, July 5th. Get that. You almost feel like you got an extra day, but probably technically we didn't, because we were going to have an extra day one way or the other, no matter how it worked out. But we are here on a Monday. Summertime is in full swing. Good weather. Unfortunately, it feels like we might get a little bit of rain coming up with this little system coming through in Florida, but hopefully everybody stays safe down there and all that. Listen, haven't had a chance to talk to everybody since the debacle. And I say debacle, but I mean that in the nicest way, because, you know, keeping it real and keeping it honest. Look, the Hawks got a lot further than any of us would have thought. No one, listen, I'll raise my hand to say I thought it was a long shot that we'd make the playoffs. And while I had optimistic thoughts about us beating the Knicks, I had no idea that we would get past Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to lie to you, as much as I rooted every second I saw for the Hawks, there was a thought to me that Philadelphia would get them. And getting to the conference finals, and keeping in mind, the last time we got to the conference finals with the 60-win team we had, we kind of, tightened up a little bit, let the aura of LeBron get over us, and we didn't make it. So it leads to my topic, which is Falcon related. What's up with Atlanta sports? And I'm talking to the Atlanta sports fans. I'm going to make that clear, because here's what I don't want to hear about today. And not to say that I'm not one to listen to a joke and hear what people have to say about things and ha, 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 and it's all good and it's all funny. But at the same time, for the Atlanta sports fans, are we truly torturing ourselves thinking that it's finally going to happen? Or are we foolish for believing that that day will come? I don't want to bring up the past, but that's the basis of what we're talking about today, the past. So when we start looking back in Atlanta history, of course, because we only have one major one. And again, all due respect to the Atlanta United, who right now, I think we can kind of hold our hats on right now for the current sports. But right now, the only official one that Benny look out for, and that's the one in 1995 with the Atlanta Braves. That being said, with the 14 years the Atlanta Braves kind of ruled Major League Baseball, to only get 1 out of 14 opportunities is something that leaves you a little bit wanting more, right? If I'm not mistaken, 4 trips to the World Series, 2 against the Yankees, 1 against Toronto, 1 against Minnesota, of course, and 1 to show for it against Cleveland, 1 championship. And the feeling that I had in 1991, 1992, 1993, 1996, 2000, I think that was 2000, it might have been 99 when we ran up against the Yankees team that we had no business probably being with. But It's that same feeling. And we go to our Falcons. Falcons is, one thing after another. As much as I think the excitement over the past 5 years ago, when we had an opportunity to get to the championship game, that was one opportunity. But then when we look back over the 50 plus years of the franchise, wow. Yeah, 2 Super Bowl opportunities and a lot of others, what ifs, how, why along the way. And of course, we go to our beloved Atlanta Hawks, who just recently, and probably give you the most optimism about the future and what happened just then. Being a native, born, raised guy here in the ATL, always rooting for my home team, always ready to, bang the drum for my teams doing well. It becomes frustrating. It does. And it's not about the outside noise coming in. The Falcons set up from 2017 is probably going to haunt Atlanta fans for the longest, because not only from a Falcon fan standpoint, because guess what will happen? Anytime the Hawks get far and don't make it, it was the curse of the Falcons. Anytime the Braves go up 3-1 on the Dodgers and don't get it, the Falcons curse. Anytime Georgia makes it to a national championship game and blows it in the last second to the second string quarterback and a freshman wide receiver, we blew it. It's a narrative that's tired for those of you who tend to, it's a narrative that's tired for those of us who want to have that win, but it is something to be discussed. How do you deal with it? And I'm asking myself the question. This is probably one of those first times that I'm really asking myself how I deal with it. Because you have those folks that no matter what, they're just ready for it. And it almost bleeds over into life. Those people that want you to fail is almost those people that want your sports team to fail. And it's hard. Hey, what's going on, Mark? How you doing today? Brother Winston, how you doing, sir? Glad to have y'all join us. Epic, great to see you jumping in here, brother. And Robin, nice to see you as well. How you doing, Melinda? Nice to see all of y'all stopping by to say hello again. Talking about what your feelings are on Atlanta teams not being able to close the deal. Now, there are teams out there and cities out there that don't have success like, every year and things like that. I tend to look at places like San Diego, and I have one on the top of my mind. Just right before I came on air. I'll be back to it in a second. But it's not like Atlanta is the only team that's not getting to the championship and not taking care of business. But as an Atlanta Falcon fan, of course, our frustration is probably the way we're not finishing these games. And I have to keep thinking, and I have to keep in mind that some of the circumstances, they really are out of our control. When you lose a game like we lost last year to the Dallas Cowboys, and just thinking about the way you lost it, and it just rolled all the way back to that February day. And that sinking feeling when you see the ship starting to tilt in the other direction. And that's what it was. I don't know if there's a solution. I don't know if anyone has any ideas, but It's frustrating. I am more ticked off because you have the two type of anti-fan. And these are the anti-fans that I'm talking about. Hopefully I'm talking to real fans today. But the anti-fan, you have the one who's not from here, but takes up space in your city. It takes up space in your area and has nothing else better to do than doom and gloom on your franchise and what you accomplish, as they are from a franchise that probably hasn't won since they were wearing diapers or being potty trained. Then you have those fans that are local, but because the teams are losing and because the teams aren't successful, they jump ship to the bandwagon team and all of a sudden are fans. Those are the ones that are priceless to me. Those are the ones that I sit there and say, I just don't get you. I don't understand you. But, to each his own. I'm not going to ever tell anybody how to root for a team, but it is kind of interesting. What's up, brother Tidy? How you doing, brother? So I love the new setup, brother. All thing missing is a Devontae Freeman jersey. Actually, it's funny you say that because I just went to Dollar Tree not too long ago, and right over by the trash can, I thought I saw a no. I'm just playing. Anybody that know the inside joke would be Tidy on those jerseys might take. But we definitely got some room. Actually, I do have a Devonta jersey, so it's going to probably make its way up here sooner or later. But thank you very much, brother. I'm trying to work. I got a couple of little setups we're going to try out here in the next months coming into the new season and seeing how things are going to work out for that. So now I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Brother Armani, how you doing, man? I saw you the other morning on the Red and Rev show. I usually check them out every now and then, man. That was some good work you did on there. Always keeping it real for Atlanta. I appreciate that. But again, give me your ideas, y'all. How do we deal or how do we internalize this? I don't want to say losing mentality because it sounds defeatist. It does sound, just listening to it come from my mouth sounds like I'm already defeated. And that's not the case. I am going to be forever optimistic out of the two choices, forever optimistic or foolishly dreaming. What side do you come on? I'm going to be forever optimistic because I think there is going to be a time. I think back to Boston. And a few years ago, Boston, a few years ago, probably a couple of decades for some of you who might be a little younger, before Tom Brady came on the scene, and before Big Papi came on the scene, Boston hadn't won, aside of the Celtics, hadn't won regular championships in football or baseball. Baseball was 100 years, Patriots was never. And all it took was maybe one win or two to get things started. I kind of thought that would have been 2017. That was kind of the year the Falcons were on their roll. Georgia came behind and was on their roll. We were just coming off the 60-win team for the Hawks. It almost seemed like things were kind of lining up for us to be one of those type of cities, but it didn't happen. But we'll see. Anthony, so your setup and backdrop is the bomb. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. We worked on that, man, trying to get some. Like I said again, I got a couple of other things in here too. We'll have a little rotating thing going on depending on what the mood and what the what the vibe is going on. But just wanted to show a couple of things that we were going to have going into the season. Trust me, we're gonna. If you ask Tidy too, I know we've talked about this extensively. We're gonna try to dig deep this year. I felt like, unfortunately with the pandemic last year, Obviously, we weren't able to get together as fans. We could do online stuff, but I really want us to be interactive this year. I know we tried the thing about 2 years ago. Was it? 3 years ago at forgetting the name, Dave and Buster's, where we had a couple of folks came by actually and checked us out at Dave and Buster's. Myself and JR was sitting there. We did a live remote from one of the back rooms, and maybe we can try to do something like that during the season and just galvanize this stuff. Tidy has also placed for some of you in the Atlanta Bird Gang, and I'm not forgetting about you folks watching Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. Please, if you get a chance, go to that on YouTube, Uncle Steve's Lounge. Subscribe if you get a chance, because we'll broaden the spectrum a little bit and go into more sports. However, there is a post Tidy has up about the t-shirts. Please make sure you check that out. Prices are extremely reasonable for t-shirts. It's almost like you buying it at, I was about to mention name, but I don't want to say too much. But anyway, those are really nice t-shirts and at good prices. And Tidy, if you get a chance to, you can make sure you tell people to direct themselves to that position, if you don't mind. Thank you, Lisa. New set it's got Dre. I appreciate it. Dre. You know what it is? It's hard to say Dre Trice, and it's almost like a tongue twister for us Southern folks. And I'm trying to put that together. So every time I say Dre, I say Trey, but it's Dre. I appreciate you, brother. Tidy said, as far as the Hawks go, they exceeded pretty much everyone's expectations. Once you get there, you might as well win it. And one of the things that I'm hearing, but I don't like hearing when it comes to that, Tidy, is when folks are just going to make the assumption. I've seen these posts come up. Look who's under 22. Look who's under 24. Look who's under 20. All of that. Like, we're set up for the next decade. And I ask you kindly to go back to the 2016 Falcons, that their defense was made up of basically younger guys. And that particular season, we improved as the year went on. And what did you hear in the offseason? Oh, they're going to get stronger. Keanu Neal is going to be great at safety. And not that he wasn't good. I know injuries got him. Grady's going to be all pro, which he has turned out to be. But our secondary was going to learn, and we were going to do this, and we know the story. So while I am super ecstatic and proud of the Hawks and hope that the future looks bright, you have to try your best to push through and win if you can. And I'm not saying these guys didn't try. I'll tell you, there was not a soul, including the one sitting here, that thought we would break through and, go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I was happy. I was happy making the playoffs and saying, hey, next year we'll move on to the next round. Boy, we shocked the world on with some of those folks. So good job from the Hawks. Very good. Lisa says, my strategy is that I rep my city regardless of what the sports team do. And Lisa, you're one of the few that I see out there. I see the It's Fans guy as well. And there are some folks out there, I'm not saying because I see you, I can, and anybody who sees you has no problem with pointing you out as somebody who reps the team and reps the city on the highest level. I don't find it difficult at all when the Braves are going through a run to give some love to the Braves, or shoot, the United are making a run to win the championship. Shoot, when the Thrashers were here, I'm telling you, I just right behind them, no matter what. I'll even extend it to colleges, even though I have probably a little bit more favorites when you start coming to local colleges, but I root for Georgia Tech. I root for University of Georgia. I root for Georgia State. I root for West Georgia. I root for Georgia Southern. I mean, if you got a Georgia in front of it, or if you're in a HBCU, Morehouse, Clark, Morris Brown, if you're a team in the local area, I am down with you. And when you play each other, then I have to make a decision. But it makes it, that is one way, Lisa. You just say, just no matter what, I'm 100% ATL. That it sounds simple, but it is to me. Dre says Ric Flair is bad luck for all. ATLT. That is so funny because when Rick was repping the Falcons that year, there was a part of me that was saying, now Rick is more North Carolina. Now watch if the Panthers make a run, all of a sudden he'll be all about the Panthers. But it was funny how he kind of traded allegiance during that Super Bowl run. It was all about the Falcons. But keeping in mind, working for Turner, working for WCW, all of their home stuff was here in Atlanta. So I get it. Atlanta's probably is home away from home. So I don't blame him for repping us. But yeah, it was a little bit kind of tricky there with the Nature Boy. That's my man, Nature. Woo! That's the man. Lynn said, I love this setup. Rising up for the new season. Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate that. Again, trying some new stuff. There are actually a couple of other setups I'm going to spring on y'all later on. But and the great thing about this will change. At this moment, and I think I counted last, I know I have 22 different jerseys, so past and future. I know right now we're going for what should be 4 starters on, which should be 4 starters on the team. Of course, with Matt and Ridley and AJ and Rook, who signed his contract this past week. Congratulations to Kyle Pitts on signing with the team. Lisa said, I'll wear the T-shirt to the open practice at the Benz. I will be at the open practice during the Benz. I hope they let you bring your cameras in there and do a little bit of interaction. I figure since it's an open practice, they won't be giving away anything on there. So hopefully that's the case. Dre says, I'll be honest, some Hawks need to move on from Capella. It's going to be an interesting offseason when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks. If I'm going to sit here, one of the things about repping the ATL, I rep the Atlanta Falcons hard. I'm not going to try to pretend like there's an Atlanta team that is as tight as the Atlanta Falcons rep. I go deep for the Falcons. I do love the Hawks as well. I probably don't keep up with the Ys and the contracts as much. I have kept up a little bit now that the season over with to see who's free agent, who is a free agent and who is not. Capella, of course, came to us in the Houston deal and sat out the first year with injuries and was finally able to get on the court with us and pay dividends. He's pretty good. But, of course, the higher you get in the playoffs, the more skilled the teams are. So is it a matter of Capella not being really good, or is it a matter of the people, once we got to the highest level, those folks, just had a little bit more talent? Than what Embiid, I mean, what did you expect him to do? Embiid's the best center in the game. And while, yes, Robin Lopez had the game of his life, career, and all of that, Giannis coming through the middle, dude, I don't think 99% of the league is going to stop him. So, yeah, I hear you on Capella. I know the biggest thing is going to be John Collins, whether they should offer him a max contract, or does he deserve a max contract? I let the Hawks fans, the entrenched Hawk fans, battle over that one. In my own opinion, I think he is on the verge of being a very good player. I think he is a good player and looks good in this system. I'm not sure if I would spend max on him. I would pay him heftily, but I'm not sure if I would long term go that far. Hopefully, there's a middle ground. Congratulations, speaking of the Hawks, to Nate McMillan. Signed a 4-year extension, extremely well deserved. Wow, what he did with that team since March is unbelievable. And let's hope some of that mojo rubs off on Arthur Smith. I mean, Arthur Smith has an opportunity to do some Nate McMillan things, shock the world. I mean, looking at 3 of the guys up here on this backdrop, and Matt Ryan should get his normal 4,000 yards, and Ridley should eat. And look, if I go by height, Kyle Pitts should do a great job. So let's see what these guys are going to do. Dre says, only thing I see about an ATL is 2 ATL teams can't win on the same night, i.e. the Braves win, Falcons lose, Hawks win, Falcons lose, Braves win. But yeah, I know that's kind of a tough one because it does kind of switch on and off where sometimes they will, you can never get that day that all the teams kind of win together. Tiny says, don't forget about Mercer. I forgot about Mercer, man. Mercer and somebody else that I just thought about. So Kennesaw State was actually kind of nice in basketball a couple of years ago. So, yeah, all the local teams, man, got all the love for them. All the love in the world. We should definitely be able to rep all of the teams in the Atlanta area. So, but again, getting back to the point, how do we cope? How do we not get upset with the real fans? I mean, not the real fans. How do we not get upset at the trolling fans that just want to take advantage of, jumping on top of us? It's one of those things where you gotta fight it off. I know we're an easy target right now. Everybody was waiting for the Hawks to lose against the Knicks. They didn't. Everybody was waiting for the Hawks to lose against Philadelphia. They didn't. 2 East Coast teams that probably make up, what do you say, metropolitan areas, 40 million people, somewhere between 40 to 50 million that they make up. So, I mean, how do you combat that? And here's the funny thing. So this is what baffles me. And it happens in the Falcons groups as well. So it's not isolated to the Atlanta Hawks. We played the Milwaukee Bucks. It's not like we played the Knicks. It's not like we played Philadelphia. It's not like we played Boston. It's not like we played Chicago, even though Chicago hasn't been much, but at least they have a little bit of lineage when you start talking about about Michael. Michael probably shut me down for saying that. We lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. So there weren't hundreds of Bucks folks coming for us. You know what I mean? I mean, the Bucks fan base is probably a strong fan base within the state of Wisconsin. But it's not like a Knicks team where you got New Yorkers all over the country traveling. It's not like Philly fans that infiltrate all areas up and down the East Coast and whatever. This is Milwaukee. So all of a sudden, the hate that you see, and you know they're gonna lose another one. That came more from internal. That came more from the non-Atlanta fans who are here because your mama and daddy had to come here to work and get a house because you couldn't afford one up north. And that frustrates me sometimes. I'm not going to tell you who to root for, but I am saying, okay, you got a little free ride down here, coming down 75 or 95 to 75 or however y'all got here and whatever. You know, show a little respect. You're in the ATL now. You come with all that nonsense. We know where you're from. But while we going on our run, you know, sit back, heal the wounds of the New York Knicks fans and the Philadelphia 76ers fans. Put a little alcohol on there in a Band-Aid and worry about them before you start talking about us. Because last I checked, we got to the Final Four. As a matter of fact, I'll say it. I'll say Final Three because the Clippers got eliminated before we did. I know it doesn't matter, but that's the way I'm gonna see it. But what do you guys do with that? Dre says, Steve, what do you think about these teams and coaches being fined for practicing early? Well, you know, I think the reason is because, you know, the new coach teams are supposed. Are you talking about NBA or NFL? We talking about NFL. Let me make sure I see which one you're talking about before we get into that. Because if you're talking NFL, the NFL teams, those who have new coaches have the opportunity to train practice a little bit early because there are new folks coming in. Yeah, the NFL. Okay, so those teams have a little bit of an advantage because they get to have their open camps early and all of that. I think it's unfair to give veteran teams a little bit of heads up. I think the veteran teams should hold tight. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they should be able to do that. Lisa said the troll post by so-called Atlanta fans was crazy. If ATL fans cause you so much angst, it might be time to root for other teams. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, that is about as plain as you can get. The joy that some folks get that are, as one who is always open to somebody expressing themselves, I don't like stifling people, even if your take might be warped or whatever. I'm always willing to listen. But to her point, when you're making a huge deal to root against the Falcons, root against the Hawks. Now, I'm not mad at the folks who travel in. When I'm in Mercedes, and more importantly, Georgia Dome, because we have more people in there. When you're in the Mercedes Dome and you see all the transplants come in, and you can almost tell the ones who are truly coming in because they have that look on their face like, make sure this is Atlanta. You can kind of see it in their eyes. Then you see the bold ones who come in there and, you know, they're just repping the team. It's probably guys that come in there and buy 8 different jerseys a year just to show that they're going against Atlanta. I'm going to tell on my brother real quick. My brother, who I love dearly, is, well, he has not truly rooted for the Atlanta Falcons in a long time. He used to, contrary to what he'll tell you, but he used to root for the Falcons. But he hasn't for a long time. And I say a long time, I'm talking about when we were kids. He was bigger Denver fan. So if it's any team, I'll give him credit for rooting for. He was Denver fan when Craig Morton was back, for those of you who remember him, going against the Dallas Cowboys back in the 70s. So he has rooted for Denver, but has always been that Atlanta antagonist. And even when the Falcons are on a hype train, say like we're making the playoffs, we're making a run, and he'll go out of his way to get people to kind of go at him for being the anti-fan. I'll never forget the championship game that Vic played when we went up to Philadelphia in the cold. I believe that was after the 2004 regular season. And he went out and bought I think it was a Terrell Owens jersey for Philadelphia. And I don't even think Terrell played, but he went out and bought a Philadelphia jersey, bought one just to troll Atlanta fans. And I just say to myself, man, when you got that much energy that you feel like you need to, go anti-local team, yeah, I'm kind of like Lisa. It's like almost like, yeah, you need to get your eviction notice. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. That you go out of your way to go against the home team. So I don't know. I mean, we've had moments in Atlanta sports that should have made us say, I think about the Twins back in 91, which to me was one of the greatest franchise teams in Atlanta sports. And Atlanta had the 3-2 lead, couldn't hold on to it. And Minnesota goes out and wins, which to me was probably one of the greatest World Series ever. I think about the Toronto Blue Jays series. Should have had that one wrapped up. Couldn't do it on that one either. I think about the Atlanta Falcons, Dallas Cowboys. I've talked about this game several times if you listen to me. Up by 10 points going into the fourth quarter against the Dallas Cowboys and losing the game 30-27 to Danny White. Going 2 years before that, Roger Staubach couldn't do anything against us. Robert Pennywell knocks him out of the game. Insert Danny White, insert Dallas Cowboy comeback. Talking about the 2012 Atlanta Falcons. Championship game at home. Up 17 in the first quarter. We all know the story. We all know what happened. Philadelphia, 2017 regular season. 4 chances inside was it 5 or inside the 10? Definitely inside the 10. 4 chances. Couldn't get it done. Things that wreck your brain. Atlanta Braves, up 3-2. Best closer in the game. 1 out away from winning. Jim Leyritz. Braves fans, you remember. Dominique, Atlanta Hawks, 1988. Opportunity to close it out at home. 3-2 over the legendary Boston Celtics, not the pretend Boston Celtics, the legendary Boston Celtics. Had an opportunity to pull probably one of the biggest upsets of all time. Couldn't pull it off. Georgia Bulldogs up on Alabama in the SEC championship game. The David Green game. Had an opportunity to win. Did not finish the job. So many moments in Atlanta sports. And tell me yours. If y'all have some, tell me. Tidy says the Twin series was painful. The only sports game that made me cry. And that's funny you talk about that because there are few moments in my life, few aside of whoopings, which don't count because those were generated cries. But aside of those, there are very few moments, honestly, that I have cried in life. And in sports, there are few moments that I have cried. The reason why I probably mentioned that Dallas Falcon game so much is because that's the first time I cried about a game. I literally cried about that game. Now, there are games that, and guys won't admit this, and ladies, y'all do it too. It's the game you're expecting to win, and it's in you because it's half frustration, but it's half sadness, and you well up, but it might not drop, and you try to slick wipe it off before somebody see. You slick wipe it off. San Francisco, that was a slick wipe. Surprisingly enough, the Super Bowl against New England actually wasn't a slick wipe. For some reason. I don't know why. I guess I was more stoic because how that happened. The Braves lost against the Twins, slick wipe, slick cry. So, yeah. Those moments. Yeah, Atlanta sports have moments to make you cry, without a doubt. Anthony Booker, 2012 was a heartbreaker, just like 2016. I was at both, Anthony, and the vibe was so dope because that was the first time we had hosted the NFC Championship game, because the other two times before that we were away. The Minnesota game that we won the championship, and then the Mike Vick versus Philadelphia. Those two times obviously were losses. And I'm sorry, scratch. The Minnesota game was a win. Sorry. The other one was a loss, and then this San Francisco game. So this was the first home game. And we were there with the whole family, so we got a chance to enjoy the festivities. And we were talking about one of those things we brought up last year, moments where the decibel level in a crowd was so awesome. That 2012 heartbreak in the second quarter, first play of the second quarter, Julio 40-yard bomb. And for those who say Matt Ryan could never throw a ball, that's not true, because he put that ball as much online as you could that day. And we went up 17-zip, and you couldn't tell me we weren't going to the Super Bowl then. You couldn't tell me at that time. Even though we just blew a 20-point lead against Seattle 7 days earlier, you couldn't tell me we weren't going to pull this game out. 17-zip. Oh, it's different. And then, of course, to see Frank Gore going into the end zone, the Harry Douglas turf monster. And then, of course, the end of the game when Matt Ryan basically is playing with a separated shoulder the last three plays. It was, yes, heartbreaking. Lisa said February 5th, 2017 took all my sports tears. And Lisa, it seems like most, and I listened to a lot of fans about the Super Bowl, and people were, I think, because of the lineage of Atlanta sports fans, because we knew this was ours, I think our fan base went more angry than sad. I think this was the chance. We were this close to clowning New Orleans Saints fans for the next decade. This close to shutting up Cam Jordan about what he's never done. This close to making automated passes for Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, for Hall of Fame consideration. This close to doing it. And I think the vibe to me, I think was just more anger. Was like, what did we just do? I'm not sure if it was, I know there was sadness. I'm not saying there wasn't sadness, but in my opinion, I think it was more anger than it probably was sadness. I mean, I was speechless. My crowd where we were, I mean, nobody really overreacted, and we had Falcon fans there. Actually, I think I have to ask my wife. I almost seem like somebody left early. And I don't know. I gotta remember that. I don't know why that just popped in my head. But yeah. Super Bowl loss. I was shell shocked, spiritually exhausted. I couldn't cry if I want to. And that's good. Spiritually exhausted. That's really good. I probably was in that line. Spiritually exhausted. Again, you had a chance to zoom all the demons of Atlanta sports. And this was a relatively short time, you know? And if you want to know, just going back, and this is not saying the Atlanta United will never be there. If you want to know how popular / important the Atlanta United right now is, know that championship was after that. And still, there was not a thought of, now we got that off our chest. Yeah, probably because it's just not there yet. Spiritually exhausted. That's good. 2016, I was so numb to it. I was so numb to it all. I couldn't feel anything. Yeah. I've told the story. Champagne. I don't really drink like that. Champagne in the bucket. Stayed in the bucket till I moved. I think it's somewhere in the house now. I don't even know. But I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Getting ready for my kids, like, oh, y'all get ready. We going to this parade one way or the other. I don't know how we gonna do it, but we gonna get down there. Getting ready. Third quarter, making plans. I know nobody's gonna be at work. Woo, that was tough. Anthony said there were a lot of Saints fans celebrating outside the Georgia Dome after the loss to San Francisco. Julio and Matt was on point that game. Yeah, Saints fans are happy. But you know what? It's no different. We trolled their behinds when they lost to the Rams. And I was one. I trolled them when they lost to Minnesota. No doubt. I'm definitely not going to sit here and try to act like I did. Rusty said, not sure what y'all talking about. I just joined, but it seemed like Atlanta sports teams don't take advantage of opportunity, which makes it feel worse. 2012 NFC Championship game should have won. Super Bowl 50, had the game won. Hawks this year, Giannis goes down, and the Bucks play better without him. Can't make this stuff up, and I'm not a Hawks fan, but man, Atlanta sports can't get a break. And I think that's, with that wrap up, that's in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're talking about, Rusty. Just like the difference between forever optimist or foolish dreamer. And I know the foolish dreamer part, folks get mad for real. They get really mad about that we can't close the deal. And I think some of us are just on it. Jimmy said this Hawks team wasn't cursed. They are young, true Hawks fans. No, we overachieved. Nate took over a team with no identity. We have a bright future. I think we do. No doubt. With Trae Young, now we have a true superstar for this city. And it wasn't like the Hawks team that we had that was destroyed by Cleveland. Trae Young will be on every upcoming NBA commercial coming this year for ESPN. The Hawks will probably play on Christmas. Remember when the Hawks went to the Eastern Conference Final a few years ago against Cleveland? No way. Team was too bland. We had Jeff Teague and Paul Millsap. Those were our stars, alleged stars. Trae Young is the guy right now. And of the playoffs, aside of who's there now, Trae Young is the face of this franchise and is probably the next young face of the NBA. Going well. How you doing, Miss Sharon? Classmate dropping in. Say, I'm straddling the fence. You change head coaches and general managers, but neither of these guys are on the field. Does this make sense? Yeah, I mean, and the straddling is, I think most folks, I think you don't want to dip into the negativity part, but geez, one more year. Shoot, when we were in school, since we've been in school till now, Atlanta sports has had one champion. Atlanta Falcons have had zero. So I hear you. It is a straddling because you don't want to invest. It's almost like a relationship. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for you. And then they let you down. I promise I'm going to give you this. I promise. And then they let you down. And then you turn around and you look like 8 years later and there's no ring. And that's pretty much in relationships too. Boyfriend there for 8 years. Keep promising you the world. Have some peaks that looks like they ready for you. But they don't come through with the ring. And when they don't come through with the ring, I mean, that's where you go and say, was this meant to be? And in a lot of cases, I don't think it is. But that straddle is real. That straddle is real. Lisa said, we had a vested interest in the Aints losing to the Rams because if not, they would have played for a Super Bowl in Atlanta. That is a fate that admittedly I didn't want. Thankful that the football gods temporarily blinded and paralyzed the refs for that no call. You know what, Lisa? And every time people bring up that no call, which absolutely had a lot to do with the fortunes of that game, I keep reminding folks, I don't go to that play as the end all. You know why? Because the greatest quarterback ever in Drew Brees got the ball first in overtime. He got the ball first in overtime, and what did he do? He went down and threw an interception. I know he's getting sacked, but still, they do that to Matt. Matt gets sacked and get an interception. It's still an interception. So Drew Brees got the ball in overtime. Greatest guy ever. And had an opportunity to drive his team down the field. Would have never talked. He drives New Orleans down the field. They go to the Super Bowl. You never hear about that play, ever. But that happens. Then all of a sudden, change the rules. We're the Saints. Trying to hear all that junk. But you're right, though. Anthony said, I trolled them, but not until they did it to us in the San Francisco game. I'm not that much of a trash talker, but I let the Saints fans have it after that Minnesota game. You should. And trust me, I'm a trash talker to a certain extent. I don't get personal, but as far as your team is concerned, oh yeah, I dig in. I dig in hard. Yeah, and some Saints fans probably not talking to me anymore after the Minnesota game. Because we went in so hard on those boys. They just stopped talking to me. But they at least had that championship in the last 10, 11 years. But the longer, and now that Drew Brees is gone, the longer you kind of stretch that away. That's why I was hoping we would have kind of cut that gap in 2017. Because the never-ending battle between Falcons and Saints, if the Falcons were able to get that championship in 2017, think about the leverage you would have had. I don't care what Drew Brees would have done afterwards. I don't care how many yards he would have thrown for. The score would have been 1-1. And for those who like to pump up our buddy over here, number 2, for those who like to pump him up, you would have had a legitimate argument. You would have had a 2016 MVP, an awesome playoffs, and no matter, the outcome was horrible, but Matt had an outstanding playoffs. But had he closed the deal, Matt Ryan basically was just, they probably would have sized him up for the jacket and start making his bust if he does that. And remember now, and of course, I'm going to the Wayback Machine, which I don't like to do, but I'm going to take you there anyway. At that time, from 2008 up to 2016, up to that point, Matt had been to the playoffs 5 times, been in 2 NFC championship games, an MVP, and would have won the Super Bowl. Arguably close to Eli Manning, aside of Eli winning 2. So winning that championship would have solidified him and probably would have given him 1, maybe 2 years of sympathy. Maybe. His fan base is hard, so I can't really say. But maybe 1 year of sympathy. Lisa, I memorized that Joe Buck call for the Minnesota Miracle. Dig, sideline, touchdown, unbelievable. Vikings win. Lisa, you always hear me mention Game Pass. Game Pass is one of the great, if you're a member, depending on what seat you have, they actually give it to you. They give it to you free with your season tickets, depending on where you are. But the one thing I like about them, you get to hear the hometown crowd. You get the hometown call, the visitors call, and the national call. If you get a chance, go back and listen to the New Orleans call of that Minnesota game. So while you remember that from Joe Buck, go back and listen to Deuce McAllister, and I can't think about my guy's name. He's actually pretty good with the New Orleans Saints, the broadcaster. Go back and listen to that call. And Deuce McAllister, while he's not over the top, he loses his mind. He's like, dude, you're not even trying to go for the kill shot. What you doing? Please go back and listen. New Orleans, Minnesota, Miracle in Minneapolis. That was a great call. At least says Game Pass my favorite seat. I'm trying to tell you that thing is worth everything. I wish they went back in years. It seemed like every year they kind of scoot up a little bit. I almost need them to go back maybe like to 2005 or 2004 or something like that. But I think the earliest year they have is 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe with more money into the football deal, maybe they'll go back. Titan said, speaking of Diggs, he better not ever have to pay for a meal or drink in Atlanta ever. Yeah, listen, Stephon can get, look, as a matter of fact, if they try to charge him, I will reach in gladly and pay for his meal, because that gave me so much joy, because we had just lost to Philadelphia the day before, right? Was that the Philadelphia? Yeah. We had just lost to Philadelphia Saturday night, which I was at a wedding doing that, yeah. But we lost to Philadelphia the night before, so I needed my night to get better that next day, so that kind of helped out. Forbro said, I hope ATL use more of the short yard game and let our fast receivers make plays. The deep ball game plays the deep ball game only if it's there. What do you think? You know what I think? I think they're going to try to shorten the game up. I think if judging by Arthur Smith's not only pass, but judging by the way I look like he got a tackle for somebody. Some people saying Jake. I think he might be trying to put some pressure on Jake and Caleb on the end. The number of running backs we brought in undrafted, the signing of Mike Davis to come in here. I think he wants to run the ball, and with the two tight ends set, I think he wants to keep it short. I'm not saying he's not going to go deep. I mean, you have a couple of guys that can go get it, but I think he's going to be ball control this year. I don't look at us as the team that's going to try to throw for 450 yards this year, unless we're behind. I think that happened a lot last year. But I look at us as a team that's going to try to control the tempo. And even if we may not, throw for the volume of yards this year, I think we're trying to short. I think Pitts is going to be spread out to the wide receiver position a couple of times, but then I also think there are going to be times that he's going to play in and they're just going to say 7-on-5 and let's see what we got. I think they're going to run the ball this year, my opinion. Because when you think about Matt and the number of times he's had to throw the ball over the last couple of years, that's crazy. When you have 600 attempts, that's a lot. You want to have the balance to now, unless you're just gifted. Like there are some teams that I think that could throw the ball and it's just nothing you can do about it. Like Kansas City, I mean, they're just successful in running the ball and throwing the ball. Kansas City's problem was both of their tackles were hurt. Kansas City celebrates back-to-back Super Bowls if the tackles don't get hurt. And I truly believe that. So I don't think we're gonna. I'm not saying we're gonna lose the element of trying to go deep, but I don't think that's gonna be the total focus. I think the focus is gonna be ball control, eat up the clock, let our defense rest. That's what I'm thinking we're gonna have. Lisa says, right, Aints were trolling us Saturday and we were trolling them Sunday. And I know an Ain't who traveled to Philly for our playoff game. I told him that is what he gets for being petty. He missed out on watching the Minnesota Miracle in person. See, but again, that's what you call, that's a real rivalry, man. We're not even rooting for. Every time the Saints get in the playoffs, I could care less who the team is. Like Tom Brady, I was a Tom Brady fan against the Saints. Make it clear. That guy broke our hearts, broke our collective hearts here only 5 years ago or 4 years ago in Houston. But still, even after that, against our arch nemesis, I was saying, go Tom Brady, go. That's scary. That is scary. So, yeah, Atlanta fans, we have a lot of, it's a lot of therapy we're going to need, a lot of sports therapy we need. We definitely going to have it. We definitely got to have some. Furbo says, how do you see the standing playing out at the end of the season? You're talking about as far as the NFC South standings, if that's what you're referring to. Quite honestly, I think it's going to be a battle for second. And Tom Brady just took a team of 1 year throw-ons to the 1 year throw-ons to the Super Bowl, and they signed all of them back. They basically are running it back. I don't see any way that we get past Tampa unless there's some catastrophic injuries that happen to that team. I think the second place battle is going to be for probably that third wild card team, whoever finished second in the South, between Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans. New Orleans still has a pretty good defense. I'm going to have some concerns about the offense. I'm trying to tell y'all, listen, but those who were fooled during those 4 games that Drew Brees missed and Taysom Hill went 3-1, he went 2-0 against what turned out to be a 4-12 Atlanta Falcons team, and won a game against a team in Denver that literally did not have a quarterback. So if you're going into the season with that, you become a wild card. Jameis Winston, there's a reason that they didn't put Jameis Winston in those games and they kept Taysom Hill in those games. Do I think Jameis Winston can be good? He could. I mean, 5,000 yards don't just come from anywhere. But I know Sean Payton doesn't like interceptions. He didn't like Drew Brees throwing interceptions. So if you had to ask me right now, this second, I say, obviously Tampa Bay first. Is going to be a very tight race for second between us and the Saints. I'm not ready to say we're going to be better than them because we're going through quite a few changes ourselves. But I think it's going to be a tight one between second, and I think the winner of the second place team in the South is probably going to be that third wild card team. I don't think another wild card team is coming out of the NFC East. I think the NFC East is going to be as putrid as they were last year. The NFC North, possibility, I still think Green Bay is the class of that division. I'm still not 100% sold on Minnesota or Detroit, for that matter. Yes, I'm not really feeling any of the other teams in the North. I think 2 wild card teams are definitely coming out of the West. That's the toughest division in football right now. You talk about the Rams with Matt Stafford now running the show, and you start talking about Seattle, Russell Wilson still there, still Russell Wilson. And then Kyler Murray finally emerging as a really good quarterback. But the team I like in the West, surprisingly, I like Frisco to come back and do some things, y'all. And then don't let Kyle Shanahan mess around and unleash Trey Lance on the world. If I am Jimmy Garoppolo, when I saw that pick, I'd start calling some realtors right away because I think his days are numbered. And you think about Kyle Shanahan, 2 years removed from the Super Bowl, is saying, hey, I need to get my future in here now. This is why it goes back to the Atlanta Falcons. It's not any personal thing against Matt Ryan. It's a matter of Kyle Shanahan, who just made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, is saying, I'm not sure my quarterback has what it takes to get to the next level. And to me, that's something else. Jimmy Garoppolo, a couple of years ago, toast of the town. Ready. Thought he was going to be the next guy in lineage of Joe Montana, Steve Young, and came real close to winning the Super Bowl. But I'm just trying to tell you, man, just when I thought we were having the GM and we had the new coach, my thought was, it's not disrespecting Matt Ryan. It's saying we're coming in here to change the culture and the vibe of this team. Now, does Matt Ryan still have the team? I'm not in the huddle. I'm not at practices. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he doesn't. Maybe he does. But boy, for Atlanta fans, Matt Ryan is on trial. The fans are over in that jury box, and Matt Ryan is on the stand. In 2021, you're either going to be guilty or not guilty. And I know a lot of fans, we want to make him guilty right now, but let's see what he's going to do. You know, let's see. We've already made the financial investment. Let's see what happens. Most six preach. Tidy, my microscope this year is on Marlon Davidson. He's got to give us something this year. No more rookie pass. And Tidy, I'm going to put Marlon Davidson in that category. And, you know, I know we had COVID notwithstanding and injuries. Marlon Davidson was a little bit of a talker. Kind of remind me when I saw Tack come up there. Kind of remind me, you know, just when you hear what I'm going to do. I forgot what the line was he said when he got drafted. He wanted to maul somebody. I forgot what it was. The talkers always make me worry. Now, you can take that worry away from me next year by doing what you need to do, because we never really got an opportunity to see what Marlon Davidson could do. But yes, he should be a spotlight player. But I think about all the talk, folks. As I said, God bless Frank Darby and his opportunities. But I don't need any more. I'm super happy, hyped to be here, blah, blah. I need it on the field. I gotta have it on the field. And that's not a slight. It's not a slight to Davidson. That's not a slight to Darby. But I just think about Tack, and there's somebody else that I'm forgetting about in this sequence. But just all the talk and nothing behind it. I'm tired of hype. Want to see it on the field. Most say he don't. He's past trial. Look, he's past trial, Mo. But what you know what they did? You know what that happened when they restructured him? That was an appeal. That's the Atlanta Falcons organization appealed his sentence. So they're giving him one more opportunity. And trust me, They gave him the opportunity because we were in dire straits financially. If we weren't hamstrung by Matt Ryan's contract, trust me, he would not be here. Trust me, the Falcons would have probably made a play to go higher. But because of the ramifications of how this contract is a noose around this organization, they had to make that move. We already are finding out now that they were having underground issues with Julio, who we know wasn't going to give up any money. So we had to do that. The money we used for Matt had to be done. I wasn't happy about it, but it had to be done. Corey said, I wanted them to make him guilty now. Man, dude, y'all have any... And look, and I know some people are like, well, we see the evidence. What else you need? Maybe there's a smoking gun somewhere. Hey, maybe the smoking gun could be one more run. Maybe it can. I hope it does. And listen, I'm not... For the umpteenth time, if Matt Ryan comes out this year and blazes us to the playoffs and we make a significant run, I'm not talking about getting the 7th seed and getting beat by 30 in the first round. I'm talking about if he comes out, truly steps his game up, and we do some historic things going into the season, I'll be more than willing to suspend his sentence. But right now, again, he's on appeal. We're gonna let the court system play out and see what happens. Y'all are funny. Tati says Ryan is on trial, so is Fontenot and Arthur Smith. They made the decision to pass on building the future and go with Kyle Pitts, so it better work out. You already know where I stand on that. I was highly disappointed in the decision because if our fortunes are as they should, we will probably not get to a 4th pick in the draft for a while if things work as they should. So when you have that opportunity, just like we had that opportunity in 2008, you make that move. Difference is 2008, you had no quarterback. So I get it. That was like, duh, that we would coach, that we would get a quarterback. But in this particular case, knowing that your franchise is going on a slide that we hadn't seen 3 back-to-back losing seasons in a long time. We got spoiled by the early Dimitroff era. So because of that, I mean, you even think about the Vic era. We didn't have 3 straight losing seasons during that. So it had been a while. So going back, and I'm not even looking at it right now because I have a different little setup here. But somebody go back. When was the last time we had back-to-back losing seasons? 8-8 is not a losing season before somebody brings that up. 8-8 is a 500 season, which we won't have those anymore. The last time we had back-to-back losing season, it might have been prior to the Mike Vick draft, right? Or it might have been we had the Super Bowl in 98. So 99, 2000, and 2001. Is that it? Without even looking, I think that's it. Because, Jamal got hurt the next year, 2000. So I'm pretty sure it was that 99 to 2001 run. So when you have 3 losing seasons and my number 1 quarterback is on the books for $40 million next year, folks, I'm sorry. You have to start thinking about the future. Folks don't want to do that. Folks want to hold on to the past, hoping, oh, he'll give it to us. So you're right, Terry Fontenot, definitely on trial. Tidy, sorry to jump off subject, but percentage-wise, in your opinion, what are the chances of the Falcons trading Ryan for Deshaun Watson in the offseason of 2021? If circumstances weren't going on, I think we would have been in the top percentage of that. There is something about this situation that I hope it turns out to kind of wash away, but just been a little bit radio silent there. I hope he gets through all of that. But listen, again, hometown ties. It's almost a different story a similar story to Justin Fields, but with Deshaun Watson, you get somebody who knows what they're doing. You get somebody that gives you instant credibility. You get somebody who will put people in the stands. I would be totally for it because I would rather grab a contract with Deshaun Watson's tail end on it than with Matt Ryan's 37-year-old or 36-year-old self on the contract. Folks, that's not a knock. That's real. Deshaun Watson had a losing record last year. Before that, he's battling Brady and battling Mahomes for AFC supremacy. And folks jumped ship because of the coach. They didn't jump ship because Deshaun. A whole lot of internal mess was going on with Houston. Deshaun Watson still dang near put up 5,000 yards. And I know, so did Matt. If you can't see what the difference was between Deshaun Watson and Matt Ryan, then I can't tell you. The last time I saw Deshaun Watson was putting up 50 on us. Last time we saw him. But I would take that in a heartbeat. Most says 13 years of evidence. At this point, it's insanity. But hold on, Mo. Again, I don't want to seem like I'm sitting here acting like he's been trashed 13 years. Let's stop that narrative. I kind of live in the now, Mo. I want to be real with it. We want to lump all of it together. I'm not trying to get rid of Matt Ryan because of all he's done. Matt Ryan ushered in the most winningest part of this franchise. Matt Ryan took us as close as we're going to get to an NFL championship. Matt Ryan is the only quarterback to win MVP since he's here. I can't ignore those things. Those are facts. That's history that is there. He's taken us to the playoffs as a quarterback more times than any other quarterback. I'm not here to debate his whole career because that's a whole different conversation. What I'm here to debate is from 33 on to today, he has not done the job as a high-paid, being paid as an elite quarterback. That's the issue I have. Let's not go back in 13 because we would throw out, if we're going to go by your evidence, he's going to get off scot-free or he'll get parole. You can't deny the first 5 years. He had 5 straight winning seasons. My case for Matt Ryan would start after 2017. After 2017. When we re-signed him to that huge contract. Well, we felt like we had to sign him to a huge contract. So I don't want to get on saying that all 13 years weren't good. My point is, you're right The last 3 years have not. And when I see a quarterback in his 30s that's not getting any younger, not being able to press through and do the job, I need to think about that. It goes back to what we were just talking about with Shanahan. Shanahan sees Garoppolo and seeing that he's not going to fit his system, and he's not afraid to say, you know what? Trigger pull. Let me get my young boy in here now before the bottom drops off. That's all I'm saying. Twan, I completely agree. If it weren't for Matt Ryan's contract, we would have traded him fast and in a hurry. But I think the next 2 years we would draft or trade for our guy. My only thing is, and I know, listen, they were saying this draft was going to be all that because they had 4 quarterbacks and blah, blah, blah. Guess what, y'all? Next year, it's going to be 2 quarterbacks that's going to come out of the woodworks. They're going to be good too. My only thought is with this team here, this team is built to be, quite frankly, this team is built to be closer to 500 than it is to be a team that's going to win 2 or 3 games. And the way our schedule is set up this year, I think a couple of those games are just going to fall to us. So I think the opportunity to do that would have been now. Now, do I see people like J.D. Daniels out of Georgia? I forgot the little quarterback that's following up Lawrence, that guy, and a couple of other guys coming on. Yeah, that could happen. But I was thinking about the now. I was thinking about, because when you wait next year, that's going to be 1 more year of development you're going to have to wait for, as opposed to starting that process now and getting them on the field now, or even in live practices now. Either way it goes, we're still waiting. And in the meantime, while we're waiting, we're going to pay our quarterback another $40 million. Well, not even pay him, but his salary cap will take up $40 million more, which is almost a fourth of the whole salary cap. That's my problem. Tied is 99-0-0-1. Last time we had consecutive losing. Thank you. And I did not see that. I was trying to read. I probably went through uncomfortable pauses there because that bothered me. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Tidy. I appreciate you. Lisa, 7-9, 7-9, 4-12. Man, please turn this thing around, Falcons. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. And we were just talking about the Hawks. If the Hawks, for the next 3 years, have 3 straight losing seasons, don't make the playoffs, who do you think they're going to blame? Do you think they're going to blame Nate McMillan? And I know some people will. Do you think they're going to blame Bojan Bogdanovic? Do you think they're going to blame Cam Reddish, who might not be here, but they're going to blame Trae Young because Trae Young is the face of the team? It's not personal, folks. It's not. It's not. It's about what have you done for me lately? And when you ask for a huge contract like that, guess what? I'm expecting huge things. When your agent comes up to the box and say, I need my quarterback to average $35 million, well, I need you to average 10 to 11 wins a year and have me in the playoff talk. I cannot go for this, well, the defense, well, the offense. No. Russell Wilson is getting paid right now less than Matt Ryan, and somehow with no running game, a deteriorating defense since the Legion of Boom left 3-4 years ago, always seems to work his way into the playoffs. Always. Until Metcalf just got there, he really didn't have solid receivers. TJ Lockett is not an all-pro. He didn't have a running game. Marshawn Lynch, aside of the little cup of tea he had a year ago or so, they were nothing. Rashard Penny? Come on, y'all. Carson? And the defense, name other than Bobby Wagner, name somebody on Seattle's defense. Okay, stop looking at Google. You can't. And Russell Wilson, time after time again, does the same thing. Aaron Rodgers to a certain extent. Aaron Rodgers will peak up every 3 years. But he didn't have Aaron Jones running like he did 3 years ago. And yeah, in between Jordy Nelson and Brandon Adams and Devontae Adams, he had a couple of mixes of folks. Brought Jimmy Graham there, and he was garbage. Defense wasn't stopping nobody. Clay Matthews, gone. So let's not pretend like quarterbacks can't will their team to victory. Corey says, please give him a shot. Tiny Watson had that Falcon jacket on once in his Instagram. I thought he was sending his signals. Boy, I wish he was. I would love to see him. I'd love to see him here. Tony, I'm all for Watson all day, but just wasn't sold on Fields for our future. You know what, Tonyo? It could have been Fields. It could have been Lance. I don't know if I want to stretch as much as say Matt Jones, but at least Matt Jones would be a younger version of a quarterback right now. Matt is not the 2020s quarterback. That's not the way we're trending in the NFL. That's not. I'm sorry. That is not the type of quarterback that is leading going to the big game. And before y'all say Tom Brady has the luxury of having the collateral of 5 to 6 championships that other guys say, I'll go with Tom Brady in Florida where it's nice and warm and with somebody that I know is going to win. And I tell you what, say what you want to say about Tom Brady, he's more athletic than Matt Ryan. Mo, he got paid elite money to be a game manager. Make it make sense. You can't. You can't. I wasn't in there negotiating this contract. I don't know what to say. I can't make it make sense. Only people that make sense to are the folks that are already fired. Thomas Dimitroff and, of course, Arthur Blank has to sign the check. Those are the only people it made sense to. I wouldn't have mind to see him do a shorter contract. If you're gonna pump his contract up with $30+ million, at least shorten it up. Do those Drew Brees contracts. Give Drew, whoever was doing that in New Orleans, like I said, they look like geniuses now. Because they were signing him to 2-year contract. They didn't sign him to like 5 years, 100 something. They weren't doing that. Mickey Loomis, they were like, okay, let's bite off a little bit here. We'll redo it, bite off a little bit here. And then at the end, Drew ended up renegotiating to help them with the salary cap. That's the kind of stuff you want to do as a quarterback on the end. Corey said, we thank Matt Ryan for what he's done for the franchise, but I think his window is closed. 13 years of reading the same book with the same ending. Can't argue. Tidy, Ryan's fully guaranteed money is number 2 in the NFL behind Dax, and many top-tier quarterbacks have signed since his last deal. We simply overpaid and overcommitted to him. And now we are paying the consequence of it all. And the one thing that I always go back and look at, and so I want to be fair on both sides. It was the perfect time for Matt Ryan to sign that contract or to negotiate that contract. Remember the last time Matt Ryan negotiated a contract? It was coming off of the 2012 season. He had just finished his 5th year. He had just made it to the NFC Championship with the number 1 seed and the best record in the NFC. The sky was the limit. He was trending up. And he signed that huge contract. Fast forward to 5 years later,
MVP in 2016. Yes, we all know how that ended, but he also followed that up with a back-to-back year in the playoffs where he was another play away from going to his second straight NFC Championship game. If I'm his agent, it's time to deal. So all the things lined up for him to negotiate that contract. I think where the Falcons failed was they thought that we were going to get another 2016 out of Matt, and we hadn't got that yet. So, yes, they absolutely gambled, and so far it's been a losing proposition for the Atlanta Falcons organization. Mo says Shanahan has a winning mentality, not a yes man mentality. He also has a GM that probably listens to him in John Lynch as well. Because it would have been too easy to say, dude, we got Garoppolo. We got him for $25 million a year. It's probably a little cheaper than most of these scores. Can we see if we're going to do this? Kyle Shanahan said, I already see it. But I also see what's winning in the NFL. I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes. I'm looking at Josh Allen. I'm looking at Deshaun Watson. I'm looking at Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at the future right now. These are the guys that are going places. These are the guys we're going to be talking about, and I have to compete against. These are the folks. So let me put in my 2 cents on what quarterback I need to do these things. Corey, mediocre, 8-9 or 9-8. Yeah, both. Trey, they're gonna blame Trey Young. That's what I was talking about. As far as the team, yes, sir. Mo says, I don't blame Matt. Get your money, Matt. This is on management. It starts from the top down. 100% accurate. Because I think about they don't have to pay you the money. Pretty soon this summer, there's going to be talk about what John Collins does for the Hawks. Whether the Hawks are going to pay him the max money or whether they're going to let him walk. And, of course, anybody that signs him to a contract, we have the right to, because he's a restricted free agent, we have the right to match it. But you have to think about that. We made that mistake many years ago. How many of you remember the name John Concat? And Detroit said, oh, we'll pay him this much money in the Hawks. No, wait a minute. There's something. It must be something they know that we don't. And at that time, John Concat was the highest paid center in the game. And he gave us nothing. I'm not suggesting John Collins will give us nothing, but you also have to look out for your finances this year. You got to pay Trey Young. You're probably going to try your best to bring in a free agent. Look, Trey Young is your Tom Brady right now. Right now, Trey Young just put himself on the national stage as, look what you could be getting from me. Look at these alley-oops you can get from me. Look for these shots you can get from me. And then on top of that, if you don't feel like shooting, I'll pop a 3 for you. Those are the things that I like about it. Bo Lewis, Brady knows how to work that pocket. Huge difference. No doubt. He's a better athlete. Again, the dinosaur quarterback is gone. Ben Roethlisberger, I'm so shocked that Pittsburgh re-signed him. Statue. Matt Ryan, statue. Phillip Rivers, statue. That quarterback is leaving. And we better get on board real quick. I know Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith came into a horrible financial situation. They did. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like that. They got to get through some stuff for the next couple of years. We're not going to be able to sign anybody big time unless this salary cap goes like they say it's going to go. We might be able to do something, but it's going to be tough. Titus said, I know it seems like we're beating up on Matt today, but Steve, you can't give a quarterback $100 million guaranteed in just over 5 years and have a losing season every single year since. That means it's a terrible contract for the team and a perfect contract for the quarterback. Let me tell you something. It's two people still smiling right now. Well, two people smiling and two people benefiting. Matt and Sarah Ryan are saying, we got that done. And them twins, beautiful boys, are going to reap the benefits of their daddy being set for life. And that's a beautiful thing. Again, back to Mo's point. I don't blame Matt Ryan for that aspect. Somebody going to give me the money, man, I'm going to take it. That would be ridiculous. No, you know what? I'm not going to take that money. What if I lose 3 years after this? What if I do that? I'll feel so bad. Yeah, right. You better take that money. You one play away from an injury? Well, you take that. Toddy, Concat was making more than Michael Jordan, maybe the biggest finesse job in sports history. I remember, I was in the military when that happened. And I remember that so well because that was he was on the pretty hair team, which I and Dominique had switched to this curl, to the S curl. Reggie Theus already had the S curl, but he had a little bit more hair. Mike Fratello he had naturally curly hair, but still, Big Moses Malone was on that team, and I think Antoine Carr was still on that team. I think, but I know Moses was on that team as well. That was the pretty hair team. John Concat. Yeah, that was a joke. Winston say, I don't know what buddy name they get paid from. Oh, talking about Bobby Padilla. Yeah, Bobby Padilla got them too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mo, they came into a horrible situation and said, this is not a rebuild. Rolls eyes. The world knows it's a rebuild. They already messed up by setting the bar too high in 1 year. Here's the deal, though, Mo. These days in professional sports, you might be able to get away with it in baseball. You'll probably be able to get away with it in basketball. As I tell everybody all the time, starting this year, you have 17 opportunities to prove to your fans that you have a worthy product to put on the field. And I don't care who you are coming in. You are never, as a football head coach, GM, going to come into a season and say, well, I'm telling y'all now, I just got the job, but this going to be a rebuild, so y'all don't get too happy. Come on, man. You can't say that. Of course you're going to say you're trying to win. Of course you are. Now, you might get later on in the after action review of 2021, you might get, yeah, we had things up against us, but we're going to try to work it out. But what GM is going to come in and say, yeah, going to just rebuild this thing, man. I know it's football, and I want y'all to pay eight games in 2 preseason games y'all don't ever go to. I want y'all to pay absorbent season tickets price plus that ridiculous PSL. But yeah, it's going to be a rebuild. But come on, join us down. And no, that's not how you do business. You don't do it like that. So while I hear you, that's a ridiculous notion that you would go out and just tell everybody that you're rebuilding in football. Now, the difference in basketball is one time a year LeBron is coming in, one time a year Giannis is going, well, depending on what league you're in. You can always tell if you ever look at the Hawks when they were going through the early seasons when Trey was just starting off. They sold the ticket stuff on who was coming more than they were about how the team was going to do. They were more worried about the Laker package more than they were concerned about what the Hawks were going to do. And that's how you market for basketball. Baseball the same way. Every time the Dodgers come to town, I jack up the parking prices. Because those are sports that you probably get a little bit more leeway. Same thing with college teams. Do you see college teams going out there telling you, well, this is a rebuilding year, y'all, so don't expect much? Yeah, right. Same thing with football. You can't do that. So while I heard him say, we're here to compete and we're going to try to win and we're going to, of course, this is kind of a mini rebuild. And on top of now, you gave away probably your Hall of Fame player. And I don't blame him for that speech. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to deflect that. You're supposed to not go out and negatively say, we're not going to compete. Mo says, so lie to us when we already know what's going on. Hey, but I'll tell you this. If he does come out and say this is a rebuild, he'll get more criticism for doing that than doing what they did in the introductory press conference. Trust me. They will eat him alive in the press. Oh, so you just saying y'all not going to win. Trust me. Twan says, I'm sorry, the only way I get season tickets in the next couple of years is if Deshaun Watson or another big-name quarterback comes to Atlanta, if his legal problems get solved. And listen, I don't blame you. That was one of the reasons why, and I know you shouldn't do that, that's one of the reasons why I said the Justin Fields thing made so much sense. The Justin Fields thing made sense because guess what? You automatically get a hometown hero coming in. Rusty said, I'm just getting back. Rusty said, I went back and listened to McAllister's call on that game. I felt the hurt in his voice. He went for the kill shot, man. All he had to do was tap. He just went for the kill shot. All that made me laugh. I hope they had that on YouTube because that was so funny. Oh, that made me laugh so bad when I heard that. Rusty said, what comes to an end first? Fast and Furious movies of Matt Ryan's contract. Probably Matt Ryan's contract. I think Vin Diesel going to ride that horse for a long time. Also said, I want to see a quarterback on a rookie contract to have money for a good roster. These team crippling contracts don't produce Super Bowls. And that was one of the reasons why I heard people when they were saying, oh, well, Matt, you'll be wasting somebody on the bench. No, you won't. You won't be wasting them on the bench. You'll have a lower scale quarterback that's on your team that will be affordable for the next couple of years. And that was the whole purpose. To get a young, cheaper quarterback. Yes, you have to pay Matt Ryan in 2021. But next year, before the restructure, if you had been able to do something, you could have designated him as a June 1st cut, and you only would have been on the hook for $20 million. And I say only, but looking at what the salary cap is going to do next year, you would have been able to do that. Now, with the restructure, you're kind of stuck. So it's messed up. So, Twan, I feel you about buying tickets. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm just foolishly hooked to my Falcons. That's all. Almost like I hear people with the Atlanta Hawks. I thought that was one of the slick things that they did for the Hawks, where you got playoff tickets if you signed up for next season. I thought that was genius promotion. And that place was packed, so you know they'll be packed next year. Genius promotion. But yeah, Mo said for us that already paid off the PSLs, we stuck at this point no matter what the organization does. And it, Mo and I was one of those people that I was thinking about doing the 50%, and I know some people did 25. I think I have 3 more years on mine. But yeah, I hear you. You are stuck, and I hate it for you. And that's how I feel. And I know if you got enough to pay that PSL off, I know that's, now you looking back and saying, man, I've invested in this team and the team not invested in winning. So I don't know. It's crazy, but at the same time, I am gonna stick with them, man. That's my team. Falcons are my team. We're gonna do this. I know the negativity is hard in the Atlanta area when our teams fail, but most of the real fans stick around and see what's going on. Listen, we're expecting bigger things from the Falcons. It's 4-12, obviously, this year. So let's just hope and get behind them and hope we can, kind of get this thing rolling. Listen, I thank y'all for joining me today. This is actually pretty cool being in the new little area right here. I've actually got a couple of other areas again I'll be showing to you. I was doing my stuff from the other side last week. That's actually a new area as well, if people had paid attention to it. But I was just trying to see exactly what areas are going to be good and what we can, I don't know, changing the vibe since, listen, we're going to change the vibe for this team, so I might as well change change my little setup too. Y'all have a great, for most of y'all, I know y'all were off today. Some of you enjoy the rest of the night. I will catch up with you all sometime during the week. If we have any breaking news. Definitely, if I don't catch up with you this week, we'll see you on Sunday, as we always do, sometime around 6 o'clock. It should be before the NBA Finals game. Just for the record, I think I just don't see the Milwaukee Bucks. Just don't see them hanging with Phoenix. I think this is going to be the push for CP3, who, of course, should have been an Atlanta Hawk. If you all don't know that by now, go back and look, go back and check. He actually wanted to come to Atlanta, but we all know how history went in that particular case. Listen, y'all take care. Be good. Peace. We got to find a new slogan for us, too. That's a slogan for us, too, to get this out. I feel rise up, I still do. I guess that's still old school, but hopefully we'll get something new. Until then, y'all have a good night, man. Peace.